It's time for To the Max Sports, where we talk about sports. They're just two guys, Max and Drew, in a bar talking all things sports. Well, without the bar. And the beer. Wait, why aren't we in the bar?
Hello, folks, and welcome to another Thursday night's edition of Take It to the Max Sports. I am Andrew Mulder, call me Drew, along with my trusted cohort, Max Arredondo. We got Brother Bob, as usual, and Jason working our cameras. Mr. Blue Jeans came in with a pumpkin tonight, so kind of getting in that Halloween spirit there.
Well, I think he's smoking the pumpkin.
Well, yeah, he's a big hookah guy, so, you know.
It is that time of year.
It is that time of year. Speaking of which, I brought in my adult beverage as usual, drink responsibly. I kind of went old school here with, keeping it real. So the man veil
the
it.
Big 40 Magnum and the
big, the old school.
Plain paper.
With the plain paper.
Does that say Miller?
Miller, hey, this is
yeah.
Man, this is good stuff.
It is good
That's
stuff.
why it's still around. With all these weird beers, you got your regular shit. Sorry, folks. Can't let a drop go to waste.
That's the beer of champions right there.
That is breakfast of champions.
All right.
Keeping with tradition. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out again to my hometown Pickle Indians, who did win their conference title. I think we're going to put up a picture of the team. And there they are.
All right.
Congratulations, kids. So they're on to conference playoff play and hopefully to state. So we'll see what happens. They did win state, I believe, back in 2006, 2007. Can't remember exactly when. So bring it home, kids. As usual, Max, we're going to start off with our Thursday night predictions. Full disclosure, we haven't seen what the score of the game is. We've got Arizona, and they are playing the Packers. I believe they're playing at Arizona.
They are.
Prediction?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cardinals. They're 7-0. I think the score, Cardinals winning 34-31.
Okay. Well, they've had quite a season. I don't think anyone expected them to be undefeated, the only undefeated team. I think it's going to be a close game. I know Devontae Adams is out and a couple other key receivers for the quarterback for Green Bay, but I do think that Aaron Rodgers pulls it off. I think he does something Brady-esque and drives down the field with a few minutes left in the game. I got the Packers 28. I've got Arizona 27. Brother Bob, your predictions?
I'm going to be surprised if the Packers score more than 3 touchdowns. And I have Kyler Murray up in the 30s. So I think it's going to be a much, much wider game. And I think Aaron Rodgers is happy that J.J. Watt is no longer playing.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he is.
You just mentioned an interesting name, Tyler Murray. And, he's leading the league, not leading the league. Well, actually, in completions, he's leading the league. But he's in the top 5 in most statistical categories. And we start mentioning quarterbacks in the NFL. It's interesting. That name doesn't really come up, but he's putting together quite a season.
Well, he's a baseball guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were talking about that. So, he's accurate.
Well, Kyler's been doing that since high school. When he was a sophomore at Allen High School, he won 3 state championships. His offensive coordinator, Derek Alford, was my quarterback in high school.
Oh, cool.
And one thing about Kyler Murray is his winner. He didn't lose until he was at Arizona.
Yeah.
So, it's to be expected. It took him some time to kind of get used to it, especially with the head coach that he has.
Yeah.
That kid is going to be one of those for about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're going to say, you know what, we didn't expect it from him, but he's good. He's a winner.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he's putting together a great season. So we got our predictions, but let's predict some college scores this week. In case you don't remember, I went 2-0 on my college picks last week. So
good job.
See if I can stay undefeated.
All right, let's go.
I always win when I'm not putting any money on the line.
That's the key.
So Why don't you go ahead and go first, Max? I know you like to do your high school, and then we'll go.
Let me do my high school this week. I have Johnson High School, again, undefeated 8-0, playing against one of their rivals, which is Reagan, who's 6-2. Johnson's going to squeak this one out, but they're going to win it. So I have Johnson in that one. And then you want to move over to college?
Sure.
All right, we'll go over to college.
Just to let people know, that's San Antonio High School football. We are out of the Flying Whippet production studios here in San Antonio, Texas.
Home of the best breakfast tacos.
That's what they say. Austin has something to say about that.
Yeah. Austin's got something to say about everything.
Yeah.
Keep Austin.
Maybe we should have tacos one night.
Keep
Taco
Austin
Fest.
up 35 away from us.
Exactly.
On my college picks this week, I have Texas against Baylor. Texas is going to Waco, and I have Baylor winning that one, so I'm taking Baylor and the points. And in my second pick for college, I have Penn State going to Ohio State. I'm actually going to take Ohio State to win the game, but I'm going to take the points on that one because it's 18.5.
Yeah, you think Penn State will cover? I mean, neither of those picks are necessarily bad. I do think Baylor will cover. The Ohio State game, a rivalry game, usually they're close, but we'll see what happens. That's going to be a good one. I've actually got Michigan, the dreaded Michigan. I hate Michigan, as you can tell. But I do have them covering in their game. They're giving 3. They'll cover that against Michigan State. And then I have Minnesota at -7. So those are our college picks. Take them for what they're worth. We're doing pretty good this year on those. And then let's throw out a couple NFL picks.
On my NFL picks, I have the Steelers going to Cleveland and playing the Browns. I'm actually going to go with the Steelers, and the reason why, I think with Carson Palmer, is that his name, Carson Palmer? The ex-Cincinnati coach or quarterback? Yeah,
USC.
USC, correct. He made a comment about Pittsburgh's head coach maybe going to USC. Kind of ruffled the feathers there. So I think Pittsburgh, the Steelers are going to come out and put something on the Browns. So I'm going to go with the Steelers on that one. My second pick, I have the Panthers going to Atlanta, and I'm going to go with the Panthers on that one. I see the Panthers are going to upset Atlanta at home.
Okay. Well, that's where we kind of disagree.
All right, disagree.
Pete, if you're out there, we're disagreeing.
We're disagreeing.
Well, I'm going to be on your side on this one, Drew, and I'm going to be with the public. 98% of the money is going to Atlanta in that game.
Yeah, and I like Atlanta to cover -3. Now, Atlanta did try to pull a Super Bowl repeat. They were up big on the Dolphins and almost blew that game last week. So you never know with Atlanta, but I do have them covering at -3. And then I have San Francisco at Bear Nation. Garoppolo looked absolutely pathetic in the rain. I mean,
Everybody looked pathetic in that rain. So, and that wasn't rain. That was monsoon.
That was monsoon. I'm not going to hold it too much against them. I still like the 49er defense. The Bears have no defense. Their offense is just kind of in a quagmire. So I think that 4 line is actually very good, even though the Bears are playing at home. So I'm going to take San Francisco to win that game and cover the 4.5, which is what it's currently at now.
Okay.
So you kind of touched on it. It seems like we're talking about it every week, but dominoes are starting to fall in the football landscape. USC hasn't filled their position, but Texas Tech, as you talked about last week, just fired their coach.
They did. They fired him. And I think part of the reason, I'm glad you brought that up. Part of the reason for that was they reached out to Jeff Traylor here at UTSA, and I think that was going to be leaked out. So before they could kind of get that out there and control that information, they fired their coach. So, and there he is, Jeff Traylor. He has done great coach. He started off at Gilmore, Texas, and did a great job winning some state championships out there. The biggest thing about him that impressed me, when he was at the UT staff with our coach, what's his name, Tom Herman, he recruited.
Former Buckeye.
Yeah.
A failed bid at the Texas program.
Poor Tom Herman. But when Jeff Traylor was at UT, he was part of the recruiting process that was bringing in all these great players. And I think that's one of the things that Texas Tech is looking at, because they want this guy to recruit Texas, and he knows how to do that. For example, the UTSA players that he has here, he has a lot of fifth-year seniors, fourth-year seniors, right, because of COVID and everything. These guys are staying around. They're playing for this coach. He's the real deal. If he does go to Tech, I'm going to be sad. I know UTSA is going to miss it a lot. If he does, man, take the money, because you got to strike while the iron's hot. I mean, how do you feel about that? I'm not going to try to disagree with you. You disagree with me, but I mean, wouldn't you do the same thing?
Well, of course. I mean, UTSA's built their program up. They're ranked, which is
undefeated
awesome.
And ranked. Yeah.
We talk about UTSA. We're talking about the University of Texas of San Antonio, and their program is relatively new. I think it's only 14, 15 years in the making.
I was looking. I think they've officially been a Division I 10 years.
Was it the Miami coach that started that program off?
He did. He came.
What was his name? He won a national championship with him. Well, Bob fact check.
Yeah, we'll
but I can't remember his name. I actually played golf with him one time.
Larry Coker.
Larry Coker. Real nice guy. So it's a young program, but I'll tell you what, they're running on all cylinders. Have a tremendous running back who's making some noise, and
receiver and the quarterback. They're good.
So hopefully now that they got that program established, they can get another up and coming coach to replace who obviously is probably going to be gone, because he should take the Tech job. You know, when I think of Texas Tech, I think of quarterbacks. And so, maybe they can bring back that quarterback tradition that Tech always had. You
think he's gone?
Yeah.
He's gone. Yeah,
he's gone.
So if you guys can get a chance, go out there and check out UTSA.
If he doesn't want the job, I'll take it.
There you go. You brought up USC.
USC again.
Lou Fickell, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking Fickell at this point.
That's a done deal. I think they're just waiting until the season's over because they're going to let things die out because of the AD connection out there. Yeah. That one's done. You can put that in there. You don't even have to pencil it in. Just write it in. That one's done. The interesting one that you and I were talking about off air earlier was LSU.
Yeah, they're one of those teams now that, again, there's not that big sexy coach out there with a big sexy name,
They're not, but big sexy because when Ed Ogeron, he's going to step down at the end of the year. One of the things he had was a great offensive quarterback who's at Cincinnati now.
Can you tell me what? Not to interrupt. Can you tell me what happened with him? There's been some controversy.
Scandals. He was bringing girlfriends on the campus and just kind of having a good time doing that.
You can't be a frat boy when you're head coach of a major football program.
You can. One of the biggest things about LSU, which it's going to kind of touch close to myself, is LSU is looking at the defensive coordinator that was LSU when they won the national championship, Dave Aranda, who's at Baylor right now. Baylor is 6-1. Baylor wins this week. Right. And then they win against Oklahoma in a couple of weeks. They could go 9-1 with a bowl game. Amazing. And then he's turned them around in 2 years. I mean, they're doing this. But if he goes to LSU, then who's going to coach Baylor then? There's going to be an opening there. Yeah.
So you do see that possibility playing out with the Baylor coach heading to LSU?
I think because the coach the coach before him is at Carolina now.
Yeah.
Matt Rule, and he turned Baylor around. I don't know why Baylor's always looked at as a second tier school after Oklahoma and Texas, but here recently, if you look in the last 10 years, Baylor's gone to a couple of championships.
Yeah, so, I mean, say what you will, but Art Briles started something there, and it's kind of continued on, and they're I'll tell you what, Baylor's impressed me this year.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. So we'll see. But I think with Jeff Taylor, he'll be going to Texas Tech. LSU is going to have Dave Aranda, and then USC is going to have Fickell.
Okay. Well, kind of staying in the college ballpark here, the rankings have come out, and basically the top four are set. It's Georgia, Cincinnati, Alabama, Oklahoma, and then Ohio State. Mm-hmm. So out of those, I really don't see Georgia losing. Cincinnati, their schedule's not anything that they could lose. Oklahoma has a chance. Really, the only team that I think has a chance to lose prior to the conference championships would be Oklahoma. But I'll tell you what, if Georgia and Alabama play for their title game, and Georgia beats them, which I expect them to do, that could slide Ohio State in if Ohio State, wins out. Now, again, that game between Michigan and Ohio State here in a couple of weeks, that's looming to be a real big game, especially if Michigan wins against Michigan State this week.
Yeah, it depends on how the ranking goes in the standing. It's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama. The fourth one, but at the end, it's going to be where they put Georgia and Alabama to play. And if they don't have them the first game, for the second game, you can see them. But Ohio State's going to make a move also.
So let me ask you this. I think if Georgia loses to Alabama and they lose by a close game, they won't fall out of the top four.
No,
Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely not.
They will not.
Now, if Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama will slide out of the top four.
Because that'll give them 2 losses.
2 losses. It'd be tough to keep them in the top 4.
You can't.
And that's where you can slide Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State.
If they beat Michigan, then Ohio State has 1 loss. Remember, Cincinnati undefeated. You have to put Alabama, or you have to move Alabama down.
Yeah, but do you think the committee might be looking at an excuse to kick Cincinnati out? I mean, I'm actually surprised that they're up to 2.
Yeah.
I would have expected. I kind of thought that they were going to fall back a little bit. They didn't look impressive against Navy, but then again, no elite program ever looks good against a triple option.
Yeah,
that's a good point. And the reason they're doing that is because, remember, we're talking a couple of years down the road. They're talking about that 12-team playoff, and they have to start setting up for that now. So this is how they're starting to set up for it. They're going to do it now, talk about it, and see what the reaction is. And then next year, do a similar move with another team, talk about it, and see what the reaction is.
But Cincinnati needs to win out.
They do.
And in my opinion, they don't need to just win. They need to win big against these teams.
They need to prove that they can compete.
And beat them up. I mean, destroy each one of them.
And that's the big wild card thing. Are they like the Boise State of a couple of years ago that surprised? Or are they a pretender? I mean, if you had a gun to your head and you had to pick Alabama versus Cincinnati, who would you take? You got to make the decision to lose your life.
Yeah.
You pick
Alabama.
Georgia or Cincinnati?
I personally don't see
Ohio State or, that's what I'm saying. Cincinnati, do they have the chops to compete with these top?
I'm looking at the top 10 and on the AP rankings, and I almost have to go down to 10 and pick up Ole Miss to go to a team that I think Cincinnati might stand a chance against. I don't think they stand a chance against Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Michigan State, or Iowa. I just don't think they do. I think they make it if they make it into the playoffs, they get destroyed. It's Notre Dame, except their name is Cincinnati.
Yeah. That's the $1,000 question. And they may punish him because really not having a real big strength of schedule. And of course, you're talking a lot of money. A lot of money and followings. But shout out to Luke Fickell, man. He has really put that program on the map. So he's done an outstanding job with them.
I think that's why he's going to USC.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I disagreed with you.
Maybe
come on. No, more disagreement.
Okay.
Let's talk about a few other things on the Ask the Max. And any thoughts on Romo? Tony Romo? I guess it was big on Twitter. He came out and made some comments about Brady's old lady.
Yeah, that was when Tom Brady threw his 600th touchdown pass. One of the things they were talking about, because they got the football back, there's Tony. And in the beginning when he started saying, get it. His comment was to get a date with Giselle, which is married. She's married to Tom Brady, and Tony was saying, "Yeah, he's all in." He kept saying he was all in about that. That was kind of funny. But then he continued, and he pretended to be the official that was trying to get the ball back for the Bucks from the fan, and he kept saying, "Come on, Tom, we'll do it one more time. We'll do it. You can get it. And he continued to do that, which Bob and I were talking earlier. It makes it a little creepy, and it made it a little creepy, and that's what they were talking about. Is say it once, you get a laugh, move on. As a comedian says, move on, go to your next joke. He continued, and it got creepy.
You should have just said her name once.
Yeah,
just said that, man. That's all I had to say.
Yeah. It it crossed the line, and I'm wondering what are the producers in the truck going? Oh no, he's not. Oh no, he's not. Somebody get on the headset to him and tell him to shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't get in there.
I have to call penalty on Romo on that one.
There you go. Yeah.
Going on to the next topic for you, Brady ball. So Mike Evans, the standout receiver, formerly from Indiana, caught the 600 pass, which in itself is pretty cool. You know, he can say, I caught Tom Brady's 600th TD pass. But when he caught the ball, he ran to the stands and gave the ball to a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Fan was pretty stoked. And then once they realized that ball held a lot of significance, they negotiated. There he is.
There he is. And that's the picture. That's his face that he was making.
That was his face that was his face when Evans gave the ball to a fan. So anyway, they got the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Manning said it was an amateur move. And Tom Brady said he lost a lot of leverage when he gave the ball back. So they were kind of goofing on the fan. But, you know, good for him. He did give the ball back. I guess he didn't have to. But for his trouble, apparently they're saying the ball can be worth as much as $600,000. So... thoughts?
Is it worth $600,000 if it's inflated to a regulation PSI?
Ow.
Maybe it could be worth more.
I'll have to flag you on that one. That hurt me.
You know, 600,000. I mean, somebody put a price on it. You put a price on it. Okay. At the end of the day, look, what does the fan want? He just wants maybe an autograph, a handshake, some tickets, season tickets, maybe a golf game. That's it. Or does he want, something he has to pay taxes on? He went to a game because he's a fan. He's a fan because he's really interested in what this guy's doing. So at the end of the day, he got to shake his hand, say thank you. Yeah. I appreciate you. That's all he wanted. Yeah. He's going to remember that the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He got he's getting a signed jersey of Tom Brady, a signed jersey of Mike Evans, season tickets for the rest of the season, season tickets for 2022. Oh, and by the way, I think Tom gave him $1 Bitcoin, which I think at current value is $70,000.
Yeah, the way I read it was a Bitcoin for 60 G's, $1,000 in bulk merchandise, autographed items from Mike Evans and Tom Brady, and season tickets for 1 or 2 years. So, he made out pretty good considering he was just sitting there watching a game, and next thing you know, he's, got a football in his hand and getting.
Yeah, he's sitting in the end zone. He has the shitty seats.
Yeah. How many times have you gone to a baseball game and watch a foul ball, pop up, whatever, and for you to get that ball, I mean, you remember that for the rest of your life. Everybody wants to do that. This guy got a chance to do that. It had a little more meaning behind it because of the actual number of that.
Yeah.
Man, he did great. Fantastic. I mean, I applaud the guy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I always give kudos to fans, whether it be a baseball or football, that are willing to give back something that's important to the athlete, give it back to him, be it a baseball or football.
Good for him. I don't think he made a bad decision. So
yeah,
good for the guy.
Well, Max, I guess the last thing we want to talk about tonight is kind of a short segment, which is okay. The World Series.
Yeah.
I know you had taken Atlanta. I took Houston, so we disagreed on that. Atlanta kind of took a hit when Charlie Morton got hit with that line drive, which is kind of sad. The guy's... He's been a veteran, been in the league a long time. I think he's 38 years old.
He threw 16 pitches after he broke his leg. He struck out 2 batters after his leg was broken.
That's crazy. Yeah. One thing I'll tell you about the guy, you won't hear this from him. He's no crybaby. I mean, that's awesome. But, that's going to hurt. He was a good pitcher and he was part of that rotation. I still, Atlanta had to win that. Houston had to win that second game, and they did.
One of the things that you were talking about with him being injured, but Atlanta still has that strong bullpen.
Bullpen's amazing.
I don't see. I know the Astros are doing well as far as their bats, and they're going to score runs. But man, that bullpen, I don't see how they're going to be able to get through all the guys that I was just kind of counting and going through. How are they going to get through that? I know you're taking the Astros. I know the bats are getting hot, but man, I could see Atlanta. They have their next 3 games in Atlanta, correct?
Yeah.
They win the first one. They win the second one, and it's a must-win.
Yeah, if they get 2 out of 3, you know, they're looking in good shape going back to Houston. But
I think 2 out of 3, I think they win it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like for Houston to win this, but man, I think if Atlanta gets 2 out of those 3, it's done.
Yeah, and Atlanta is winning everything close.
yeah,
Houston's winning everything, and they need to win in a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much every one of their games are a blowout. So as long as it's close, you know, those Braves players are sitting there in the 8th inning going, okay, we're behind by a run. Okay, let's just do it again.
yeah.
And and at some level, it's the team of destiny. Who did we lose this season? Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else did they lose this season? The All-Star game. They get the All-Star game stolen from when it was moved to Denver.
Do you remember this?
So I think it's kind of poetic justice, you know, and good. Listen to me. I'll just say good for the small businesses out there that lost a lot of money on the All-Star game because of some politics they had no control over. Because now you're going to get at least 3 games in Atlanta, and those small businesses and those hotels are going to recoup in spades what they lost in that All-Star game. So I'm happy for the city of Atlanta in that respect.
Who was on deck when Hank Aaron hit the record-breaking home run?
Was it, what's his name?
He's in the World Series.
He's the manager.
He's one of the coaches. Dusty Baker.
Jr.
That's right.
Dusty Baker.
I didn't know he was on deck.
Last time the Braves won the World Series, the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl.
Didn't know that.
Okay, so Atlanta wins.
You're making me want to root for the Astros.
Well,
When Hank Aaron hit his home run to tie Babe Ruth, who was it against?
Don't know.
My beloved Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember him rounding. I think it was when he hit 715. Remember he rounded third and the fans ran out there.
Yeah, he was scared to death.
Yeah, you wouldn't see that nowadays because you know, unfortunately at the time there were actually, I remember there were death threats.
Death threats. Yeah.
So that's, you know,
It was sad, but we've moved on and done well.
Yeah, Hank Aaron was a great player, man.
Well, Sunday's going to be a great night because not only do you have the Atlanta Houston game, but you got the Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings Sunday night. So it's going to be a good night, and the weather's changing. So I'm excited for this.
So do you think Dak's back?
I think Dak's going to make that decision. Jerry Jones felt fine, and Dak feels fine. It's up to the trainers. I mean, if they want him to kind of push through it. But if he doesn't have any soreness or tightness, I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
There's a game to rest him, and maybe against Minnesota. And they've got a comfortable lead right now.
No, Minnesota's pretty good.
Man, I
understand, but
they're good.
How big of a lead do they have right now in the NFC East?
Oh, with the rest of the teams in the NFC, I think they're leading by like 20.
Yeah, so I mean, if they want to conserve him and maybe, you know, roll the dice, because, you know, with the length of the season, they have talked about a lot of NFL teams about resting starters periodically because of the long grind.
But would you do that? Let me ask you the question. The question is this: would you do that knowing that the Rams are going to probably lose one more game? The Cardinals might lose 1 or 2 games, might lose 1. And then you have Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay might lose 1 more game. So that means that if you lose more than 2 games, you're going to have to go away in the playoffs. Yeah. And the Cowboys can't afford that. They have to host a game.
But they can't afford to lose Dak either.
No, but I think with that being said, they'll look forward to it because there's the Cam's still sitting out there. Remember that. And Cooper Rush, he's a backup.
Yeah.
And let's see if he can make it through. And if he does, you're okay. And if not, then bring Cam Newton in?
Well, the way the season's going for the Dallas and the rest of the teams in their league, they may wrap up the division in
next week.
The next 5 weeks.
Next week.
Yeah,
then,
you're right, with Washington.
Then they can rest Dak for 7 games, you know?
At least they'll host one game. They'll host one game, and then they'll have to go to either L.A. to play or in Green Bay.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that as well. So,
well, guys, as always, we're always trying to strengthen our brand here. So if you'd be kind enough, go to YouTube, type into the Max Sports, hit subscribe. That really helps our viewership, helps keep this content going. Anything else to talk about tonight, guys, before we sign off?
No. Update. Arizona 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it. I'm sorry. I can't say that word, but the Spurs are.
It's a podcast on YouTube. I think we can say whatever we want.
Well, the Spurs are winning 23 against the Mavericks 5. So, darn it. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, that just means it's setting up for a big Brady-like comeback for Aaron Rodgers. 28-27 Packers.
No. Nope.
It's 7-0 Cardinals. It was fun this week. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Be
guys.
safe. Be safe this weekend as well.
OH.
Thanks, guys.
Sick 'em Bears.
Peace out.
Take care.